Self-love, is it really all about bubble baths and face masks, or is it about something more than that? So I've been speaking to a lot of people lately who have been really navigating and traversing some huge challenges in 2025. And last week we were speaking a little bit about how two things can coexist, because in my experience of 2025 and of many people that I know, there have been these beautiful highs and then these really difficult lows. And my friend Sasha reminded me that this year is the year of the snake. So it's a year of great shedding. And it's also, as I've mentioned previously, the 9 in numerology. So it's a 9 year. So next year we're going in for a fresh start into the year of the horse. I think someone said it's going to be the fire horse. So it's new beginnings. So we've been invited really to confront a lot of stuff in 2025. I think a lot of us will be finding that these are great legacy patterns, that if you look back into your life, you can see how these things have come up time and time again. And 2025 has really given an invitation to look at that. And so we either do that, we take it, we sit with the discomfort, we sit with the pain, and then we mine it for the gold, the stuff that comes through it. Or we continue to look away with it, look away from it, and then go into 2026 perpetuating those same cycles. So if you are coming to the end of this year, 2025, or whenever this video might be coming up on your timeline, because I'm trusting that actually if it's popping up at some point in the future, it's because these themes are relevant to you as well, about finding self-worth through these huge cycles and shedding processes. So if you have noticed that you've been finding these difficult things coming up, have you been able to sit with them? Have you been able to look at these painful moments and acknowledge your vulnerability within it, and to sit with the pain and the sadness and the discomfort of it and let yourself feel it? Because so often when painful things come up, we almost want to push it away and keep carrying on and not really look at it, because sometimes it feels so much bigger than it is. And it's not to say that the pain isn't painful, but actually we are so much more powerful and bigger than anything that we've come up against. But it's easy sometimes to let these little things that sit in the shadows overpower us, because we're scared to dare to turn around and have a look. But then when you turn around and you look and you can see, actually, you can see the little doll in the background. That doll's like, it's my grandson, it's my daughter's baby. So you turn around and what you've thought is this huge, great big monster on your back, and you turn around and you're like, oh, it's just a little doll. It's just a little fragment of my childhood that has got a message that needs to be seen. And maybe within that message is something about self-worth, something about fear, something about a time when you didn't feel like you were in your power. So it's being brave enough to look at the shadow and see what it's really all about, so that it can be witnessed and released. Because sometimes all it needs is that attention. All it needs is to be seen, so that you can then get the power to be like, right, that's what that's all about. Now, how can I take that knowledge and implement it to enrich my future? So when these opportunities, well, that's what I call challenges now, when these opportunities come up for us to learn and grow and know ourselves more deeply, how can we just go into the core of it so that we can use it to enrich our life going forward? And I started off this video talking about like the idea of self-care, and it's something that gets spoken about a lot on social media, and it's almost trivialized really. Oh, self-care, and not to say that having a bubble bath isn't a part of that, or to put on a face mask isn't a part of that, but self-care is also something that we need to look at through the tinier moments throughout the day, in the huge moments that we come up against in our life. And it's like, how are we interfacing with these challenges? And are there ways that we might be hurting ourselves in ways that are not entirely necessary? Are there ways that we might be punishing ourselves and making ourselves suffer for longer than we need to? So I think because of the amount of challenges and trauma that I've come up against in life, and through doing all of this work of healing and evolving and working with my energy and just stepping into like my highest potential and then trying to help others to do the same, one of the things that I've really come to realize in facing these challenges is that the quicker you learn to move with the energy, and the more you allow yourself to sit with the realities of the energy, the easier it is to be flexible when these things come up. And it's not about bypassing the hard times. It's not about ignoring the difficulties, because it's important to sit in there with the sadness and the fear and the low self-worth. But the power comes when you learn to know when it's time to shift to the next energy. But I mean, sometimes you'll find yourself in periods where you're there for a prolonged period of time, because that's where you need to be. And it's important not to bypass that either. So it's finding the balance of knowing when it's time to move without forcing yourself to move, but seeing each opportunity as an invitation for reflection. So you can look at where you are in your feelings and be like, are these feelings serving me right now? And if you're in the thick of it and you're like, yeah, actually, I want to be in my sadness. I want to be putting on my sad playlist and crying to the songs and watching sad movies and being in my feels, because there might be an energy that needs to be moved through those tears or through allowing yourself to really feel. But also it's knowing when actually at this point I feel like I'm choosing to be in a funk, because there is something I could do to switch up the mood and it would feel good to do that. So how can I then take the steps to just consciously shift the energy that I'm sitting in? So you might want to then put on your more positive playlists or your uplifting playlists, or go and read a book, go and cook some food and get really present in the process of doing that, or go for a walk and be in nature. Whatever it is, it's just taking responsibility. And another part of it as well is the idea of forgiveness. And I know many of us sit with wounds that feel impossible to forgive, because it can often feel like letting someone off the hook who does not deserve to be let off the hook. And whether those wounds come up in childhood or in adulthood, it can be, the idea of forgiveness is not an easy one to sit with. But then you have to come to a point and think, is the sense of anger, bitterness, resentment, hatred that I'm holding, is it serving me? Is it helping to punish them? It's almost, I think there's that, what's the analogy of putting poison in a tea? And no, that's not it. I don't know what it is. Something about taking poison. Like having those vengeful feelings is taking poison and hoping that it's going to hurt the other person. I got there eventually. I don't even know if, I'm not even convinced that that's right, but we're going to sit with it, and I'll try and make the most of it. Because when you're sitting with those feelings of hatred and anger and resentment, and you're in that energy and it's permeating every cell in your body, not just every cell in your body, your energy field, and then how you move throughout the world, and then how other people are going to meet you at that energy, it's having a big impact on how you're experiencing life. And so often those really hot, red, angry energies can manifest negatively in the body and within our experience. So we have to start thinking at some point, do I want to keep sipping this poisonous tea? Is it really helping me to do that? And actually, through the act of forgiveness, can I let that be a gift to myself? And it doesn't mean that it lets them off the hook, and it doesn't mean that it makes right what the other person has done. But for your sake, for your health, and for your peace, can you find a way to forgive? And sometimes if you feel like it's something that you're really struggling with, you can just tune in with your body and see where you feel that sense of resentment the most. Like, is it in your gut, or do you feel it in your chest? And then just give yourself the opportunity to sit with it. And you might want to have your journal to hand and sit and just take a few breaths and just ask, what is this feeling wanting me to know? What is at the heart of this resentment? In what ways has this inhibited how I'm showing up in the world? And then on the other hand, you can think about, if this sense of hatred or resentment or bitterness didn't exist, what could live in its place? And it's almost like stopping it from being this all-consuming energy that, clouds your entire energetic being, and then just bringing it back down and reducing it, and then trying to expand more positive aspects of your experience and being like, well, even in this pain, this sadness, this resentment, how can I, as a radical act of self-love, find ways to grow feelings that are actually more supportive of myself and my well-being? And, what behaviours can I start to implement to show those little self-loving ways and to nurture them, so that you can just have a better experience? Because when you're in a more balanced place and you're not consumed with these negative thoughts, and you've got more creative power to work with then as you go out in the world to do your magic. You can become a powerful sorceress or sorcerer when you reclaim your energy and take back control from these sources that deplete us. So yeah, I guess it's just thinking about the ways that you can show up for yourself to really deepen that sense of, self-love, self-care. How can I pour into myself today? If you're waking up and you're going through the day and not drinking enough water, it's like, how can I just respect this vessel a little bit more that helps me to live this human life and experience all of these human emotions and feelings? How can I nurture this vessel a little bit more today with water, with nourishing food? Because we all know what it's like when you start having too much processed stuff, or you're just consuming things that maybe aren't as the most supportive things for your body, but in the short term they feel great. And there's space for all of it. It's not about saying, don't go be extreme about anything, but it's just, how can I pour a little bit more love into myself today? How can I pour a little bit more love into my heart today? How can I pour a little bit more love into my community today? How can I just meet the world with a slightly more loving energy today? Because we're in a time in this world of ours where there's a lot of hatred, a lot of division, a lot of very angry people projecting from very hot, red, angry, energies. So how can we just send love from our hearts to meet different parts of our days, and be the antidote to some of the toxicity that's out there? Because I don't know about you, but I'm up for a more loving and pleasant society, and I think it's possible. And I think if we all take responsibility for loving our own selves a little bit more, enough to make more loving decisions, and then leading with love, even in the face of challenge and pain, because who wants those bitter pills anyway? Who wants to take those bitter pills and sit in the bitterness of life? And some people just don't have the coping strategies to know how to do otherwise. So for those of us that have, for those of us that are stepping out on these healing journeys and have come to this sense of awareness that actually, we want to make a change and we want to have shifts in our world and experience more peaceful, more happy, more abundant lives, what are the ways that we can consciously choose moments in the day to serve the energies that we want to see more of? That's it for today. I'm sending big love. Come and connect with me in the free heart healing and soul growth community. It is a fledgling space, but it's something that I really want to see grow. I'm just a woman who has been through life and experienced some really hard things, and I've spent the last 14 years of my life dedicated to the world of healing, healing energy, healing self, helping others to do the same. Like, how can we just show up in the world at a very human level and share what we've learned so that we can support each other to rise. So come and join me in the fledgling space, and let's just start a conversation. Let me know what is most helpful for you here. I'm just stepping out every week doing these videos because that's what I've been called to do, and I feel like there's stuff to share and people to connect with that that can hopefully benefit in one way or another from what I have to share. And yeah, I'm just excited to grow a sense of community for those of us that are here just to see how good life can get. So sending you big love, peace out, and I will catch you next week. Bye.